Today we're talking about motivation to finish your game. It seems like the end should be the easiest part of game development, but actually it's one of the hardest. So I've come up with a bunch of ideas, maybe a few too many, to help out you and your team. Hi, I'm Jen Sandercock, and this is Jen's generally good game production advice. In this advice column, I offer advice to game developers who are having problems with their team. I'm a games producer who loves helping teams ship their games on time, on budget, with a happy team. Today's question is, what do you do if the team has been working on the game for a long time and has become unmotivated? They are just tired of the game after so long. Well, thanks, tired creative director. This is a great question, and it's all too common for so many teams. At the beginning of working on a game, there's so many new things happening all the time. It's super exciting. Like one day there's nothing, and the next day you've got kind of a functioning game. The game can just go in any possible direction. Everything's endless and anything can happen. It's so cool, right? But cut to the late stage work, and now nothing new can really get into the game for fear of breaking the build. The entire team could spend a whole week doing one tiny little thing that maybe a few people will even notice, possibly no one. And then there's all those tidy up tasks that you've been procrastinating on for too long that you actually have to do right now. And on top of all of that, you're now oh so much closer to the general public getting their hands on your game. And what if they don't like it? No wonder you and your team are so unmotivated. Well, what can we do about this? Lots and lots. I've got suggestions for individuals, for teams, for people who have spare time, for producers, and for people with buying power. All right, let's start with suggestions for individuals. Firstly, and importantly, remember that breaks are essential. If you've been just super focused on finishing a game, you may have forgotten about the rest of your life. So go for a walk, get out into nature, get away from your desk for some period of time. That time away will help you put work into a better perspective. Alternatively, just push through. This time will pass, but caution, big cautions, do not crunch for say longer than a week or two or something. Humans just can't sustain crunch for any long period of time, and the overall result is that a lot less work is done. So how do you know if you should push through or take a break? Well, pause for a moment and check in on yourself. Listen to that body. But maybe at this point you don't actually know what your body's saying anymore, and you can't trust what's going on, so perhaps ask somebody else. Try to figure out what's ruining your personal motivation and what's getting you down right now. Is it just that the game isn't finished yet? Is it the type of tasks you're doing? Knowing what's happening for you will help you figure out how to fix it. Think about how you usually motivate yourself and maybe try to do that. Can you bribe yourself? Create post-it note words of encouragement, dance around the room like nobody's listening with loud music, express yourself. Try to make it feel that something's new is happening for a short period of time, and then make a disproportionate deal out of just finishing the small little things. You can acknowledge the slog. You can do bursts of slog and then bursts of fun stuff. Another option for individuals is to ask for help from somebody else on the game or an external person. It could be a friend who's not even in the games industry. Ask this person to keep you accountable. Tell them that you're going to finish some task by some specific date, and then when that date rolls around, tell them how you did. For many people, knowing that you'll fail in someone else's eyes can be a heap of focus and motivation and help you finish those tasks that you've been dreading and putting off. If you can find somebody who's good at motivation as well, you don't have to, but if you can, then they might actually be able to help you figure out why you can't finish the task and help you get back on track. My hot tip is that producers are great at doing that. In fact, it's kind of their job description. All right, so let's think about suggestions for team activities that you can do as a whole. You could have a meeting where you talk about all of the final risks. Now, this is kind of opposite to many of these suggestions that I have, because this is focusing on all of the negative things. What are you worrying about? Sometimes like talking about this as a group can help you get things out in the open and help you move on. And if that doesn't actually help you move on, then you might actually be able to work out which problems need to have the most focus to look at. Opposite to focusing on risks is setting up a meeting where everyone talks about all the things they like about the game. Or, as a bonus alternative, people can share things they enjoyed about working on and making the game itself. You could also gather the team together to play the game while on a video call. That could mean everybody watching one person play the game, or it could mean everybody just playing on their own and just sharing stuff about the fun things that they're seeing. Hopefully this is going to get people excited about how good the game really is looking. If you're at an in-person space, you could do a special lunch or afternoon tea. I find that food generally brightens people's days in a really good way. So, side anecdote time. At my first games job, when I started, the team looked so down because they had been working on this game for like over 6 years at that point. So I started a Wednesday cake day where I'd bring in a homemade cake and have afternoon tea with the whole team. If your team's remote, then you can't bring in cake, but you could send around a recipe or a shopping list and then have a call where you all eat the same thing on that call together. And obviously some of these ideas for team activities could be combined. If you're somebody on the project who doesn't have as many tasks to do as other people, here are some things that you could do that maybe help everybody else stay motivated. You can pay it forward. Can you help out somebody else on the team and take something else off their plate? You could create a video of how the game used to look based on like old things that have been shared. That might impress people with how far you've come and help them remember the good old days or the bad old days back then. You can look through feedback from playtesters and gather only the positive feedback to share with the team. You can gather all of the silly things that people have said and done on your shared communications, like on Slack or Discord, and this could be ridiculous bug reports or jokes that only people working on this game would understand. If you're an animator, you could make fake outtakes of the characters failing at their animations, or you could gather a master cut of all of the animations of a specific character. If you're an artist, you can create alternative versions of characters and scenes, maybe involving actual team members. You could possibly make up fake merch or fake branding things, and maybe actually some of that stuff could be useful for the game's social media content push. You could create profile pictures of team members that's in the style of the game. If you're a producer, you could look at near-term goals and make a big deal out of when you finish them, even if they're like super ditzy tiny small. And if you're really at the end of finishing off tasks, maybe you could create a like over-the-top completion messages that are full of like exclamation marks and ta-da emojis. And you could even make this into a dedicated celebrations channel. So to get inspiration for this, think about how they might do it in the film industry. They say, and that's a wrap. So, and that's a wrap on level 4, and that's a wrap on VFX, and that's a wrap on music. Woo! Keep going with that excitement. You could post a daily status of what's remaining in the big scale or the small scale so that it's easy to see what things are getting finished. You could focus on completed tasks rather than the remaining to-do list as well. Remember to check for scope creep as well, because that can really eat into things. You can display a timeline of remaining builds and deliverables so that it's easy for the team to understand how close you are to finishing. You could focus on burn down charts and really focus in on how that remaining time is getting smaller every day. As a side note, I do not love burn down charts because I kind of think they give an unrealistic expectation of when you're going to finish, but maybe you've got a better system than me. And for our final group of suggestions for motivation, if you have buying power on the team, you could tell everyone to take a paid day off or a half day off, and then optionally ask everybody to share photos and stories of what they did. You could buy a gift for team members. If you have artists who have extra time on their hands, you could use them to create some custom merch that only the team is going to get. Or even just a gift certificate is a really nice gesture to acknowledge all of the hard work that people have been doing and are still getting done. You could plan a launch party or delegate that to somebody else and give them a budget so they can create something fun. Whew. Oh wow. that's a lot of ideas, and that's what I've got for today. Hopefully something in there works for you and your team, tired creative director. I do love motivating people so much, and remember that motivation is not a one-size-fits-all solution. And if all else fails, just keep saying over and over again, this time will pass. Once the game is released, you'll forget all about the horror of this stage, and then you'll convince yourself that you want to make another game, right? Alright, thank you so much for joining me. Remember to like and subscribe, please. And do remember, this is generally good advice, and it might not be right for you and your team. You can hire me to help you out, so here's my website. And if you would like some advice of your own and you don't want to pay, you can just ask me a question, and this is where you can do that. Thank you so much. Bye.